words said in the aftermath are just too confusing. Now I spend my days watching you throw stones at someone who's already dead. And if this is the way we all begin, so how can I ask for any more?
Welcome to the Stages of Minnesota. I'm your host, Rob Dunkelberger. Before we begin, let me fulfill my hosting chores. Is there anything I can get you? Water, coffee, tea, Celsius? I have some lovely NA beers. Anything? Well, if you change your mind about a beverage, just let me know. Today, we have a quick show, a couple of reviews for you and a little chat. So, I didn't prepare any snacks, but if you're feeling a bit peckish, just raise your hand and I'm sure we can whip something up. First, I wanted to make you aware of something a little outside our usual arena. Trademark Theater, a company founded in 2017 by Tyler Michaels King, dedicated to the creation, development, and production of new theatrical works, has made a film entitled What You Can't Keep, written by Harrison David Rivers and directed by Tyler Michaels King. Likely, by the time you see this, the premiere on October 8th at 7:15 p.m. at the Parkway Theater will have taken place. But if this makes it online in time for you to grab tickets, we'll link to the event in the show notes. But I didn't bring it up just to tease you about what you missed. There will be an encore pay-what-you-choose screening at the main cinema at the MSP Film Society on October 27th. The film stars Eric Sharp and Miriam Schwartz and features a cast full of Stages of Minnesota favorites like Sally Wingert, Anna Heshuzumi, and Joel Listman. It took over 5 years to make the film, and I hope it's worth the wait. I'll let you know. I'll be at the premiere and we'll share some thoughts on a future episode. Now, let's get to those reviews. Whether it moves me to cheers or tears, puts me to sleep or gets me up on my feet, these are my Minnesota Honest reviews. Truthful, but not hurtful. My Stages of Minnesota pick of the week is Once on This Island, which opened last weekend at Artistry in Bloomington. Beautiful. That single word floated up from the audience behind me as the cast prepared to take their bows, and it perfectly captured the evening. The music, the story, the performances, beautiful. All of it. The musical follows Tai Moon, a young girl rescued during a storm by 4 gods and adopted by 2 peasants who find her up in a tree. Years later, she saves Daniel, a wealthy young man from the other side of the island. She believes her life's purpose has been revealed, to save him. Their love blossoms, but fate and class divide them. Where Tai Moon sees with her heart, Daniel is led by expectation, and tragedy follows. At the center of this luminous production, the word beautiful again seems the best way to describe Antonesia Collins as Tai Moon. In what may be the best casting of the year, her performance is radiant, vulnerable, and bursting with life. Collins, who first caught my attention last summer as Robin Hood, has now vaulted onto the Stages of Minnesota favorite list. Collins beautifully captures Tai Moon's innocence and faith in love, making her heartbreak both inevitable and transcendent. Young Matthias Brinda shows remarkable poise as the younger Tai Moon, an impressive performance for an 8th. Director Kelly Foster Warder's staging is elegantly simple yet visually inventive, highlighted by a creative sequence retelling Daniel's family history entirely in silhouettes behind a screen. Nikki Long's choreography feels organic and fluid, full of energy, even from my preferred front row vantage point, and music director Sanford Moore's orchestra delivers a rich, Caribbean-inspired sound that fills the theater with warmth and rhythm. The supporting cast is uniformly strong. Darius Gillard's deep, resonant voice brings heart to Tai Moon's father, while Ninchai Nakchikalana is a commanding presence as Papa G, aka the god of death, especially during the haunting Promises/Forever Yours reprise. Artistry's Once on This Island is a simple story told with tremendous heart, a production that reminds you how powerful beauty, music, and faith and love can be. Once on This Island runs through October 26th at Artistry in Bloomington. I wasn't planning to see Yellow Tree Theater's production of Misery, as it's the third local production in the last 3 years, which includes their own 2023 telling, until I saw the cast. Laura Esping as Annie Wilkes and Dustin Bronson as Paul Sheldon. That was reason enough to return, and I'm sure glad I did. William Goldman's adaptation of Stephen King's novel opens with novelist Paul Sheldon waking in Annie's isolated home after a car crash. With his legs shattered and escape impossible, gratitude turns to dread as Annie's devotion slides into obsession. It's a story I've read, watched, and seen staged before, but the performances made this production feel fresh. Esping reinvents Annie Wilkes. Rather than mimic Kathy Bates' brute force, she opts for a quiet menace, smiles that freeze mid-sentence, mood swings that shift without warning. At times, she's almost sympathetic, even comic, which makes her darkness all the more chilling. A scene where she scrambles onto the bed to help Paul back into bed is unexpectedly comedic and a shining example of Esping's unique take on the role. Bronson's Paul is equally riveting. He gives the character a cerebral wit and emotional precision that make familiar scenes feel newly alive. I know this story by heart. Book, film, and now 3 stage versions, but Bronson makes me forget what comes next. His interplay with Esping crackles with tension and intelligence. Their performances feed off each other, creating something different than we've seen before. As always, the role of Buster the Sheriff remains the script's weak spot, not for lack of effort from Chance Carroll, but because Goldman reduced it to a plot device. Richard Farnsworth had a lot more to do in the film version. Here, it's little more than a walk-on role, with no room to develop a character we care about. Still, that's a minor flaw and one which every production must deal with as it's built into the script. John Catron directs with clarity and pace. Misery may be familiar territory, but under his direction and with Esping and Bronson at its center, it feels brand new. Misery runs through October 19th at Yellow Tree Theater in Osseo. That's going to do it for this week. Hopefully you couldn't tell too much, but I'm still recovering from a cold, so we're keeping it light right now to allow for some rest. We'll link to all the shows and theater companies mentioned in this episode in the show notes. Reminder that the Twin Cities Horror Festival is coming up October 16th through the 30th. Tickets are now on sale at tchorrorfestival.com. Faithful viewers, if you have comments, questions, suggestions, or any kind of feedback, you can reach me at robdunkelberger@thestagesofmn.com. That's also where you can join the Stages of Minnesota +1 Club. Just send me your name and cell number, and I'll add you to the club. Then, watch for texts from me when I have a +1 available and reply if you're able to join. Theater companies. After the success of our season 2025-26 preview episode, we've decided to do a holiday preview episode. This again will be a sponsored episode. Watch your email box for details on being part of the holiday preview show, or if you're not already on my email list or just anxious to join up, you can reach me at robdunkelberger@thestagesofmn.com. Remember, if you see me out at a show or anywhere, don't be shy. Say hi. Let's get a photo together and put you on the Stages of Minnesota. You can read my full reviews at thestagesofmn.com. Thanks, as always, to Ryan Lee for the generous use of his music. Every note of music used on the Stages of Minnesota comes from one of his albums, which you can find at ryanlee.bandcamp.com. Whether you're watching the YouTube edition or listening to the podcast version, remember, no show is an island. Help spread the word. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and review the show. Until next week, as Carol Jackson keeps texting me, yeah, I got it, Carol. Go see a show.
'Cause it's all over but the shouting. Every soul needs light, but mine's been wasting away in the afternoon shade, out of sight. And I am not the pure and perfect one, but my branches are still bent toward